These pictures are a result of car crashes. Imagine you and your friend decide to race at home one night, and you get to a red light, but you don't see anyone coming, so you go ahead and try to beat your friend. All of a sudden, you don't see a gleam of headlights, and out of nowhere, you get hit by a car. You get hit by another car. Street racing could end up like this, even if you were just trying to have fun. An article by James Quealy and Nicole Cruz showed that from July 2016 to July 2017, the CHP recorded nearly 700 incidents in the LA County. This topic is relevant to everyone because street racing can threaten the lives of anyone, not just the drivers. One street racer can have an impact on the lives of many innocent bystanders. Street racing is a danger to our community, and our streets would be much safer without them. The thrills of driving fast and recklessly aren't worth compromising our safety. Street Racing Kills is an organization made up of volunteers from our very own community in Los Angeles, dedicated to spreading awareness of the dangers of street racing. My dad lost his best friend to this type of accident, so I have decided to do research on it because I've seen it affect many families before. People need to know how much damage street racing really does. Many of these end up in accidents. We all should be putting a stop to this as it is an ongoing issue. We should all be able to feel safe and be safe out on the streets. First, I will talk about why street racing isn't safe. Next, I will discuss the different laws that are violated while racing. Then, my final point, I will talk about the alternatives to street racing for both driver and spectator. Street racing is dangerous for all involved, both directly and indirectly. Avoiding street racing would make it safer for everyone. Street racing is very dangerous for those behind the wheel. According to an article by Sue Kim of Newsweek, a high-speed car crash in Los Angeles has killed one person and injured 5 others. At least 9 vehicles were damaged in the incident, and this was a street racing accident that killed the driver and injured several others, while also causing a lot of damage to other uninvolved cars. The driver was pronounced dead on impact, and witnesses reported hearing a loud explosion right after the crash. Street racing is also very dangerous for those not involved. KTLA recently reported an article by Sarah Welch that a young father was killed in a fiery crash in Southgate over the weekend. The police say that they're investigating whether the car was struck by a racing vehicle. A witness claimed that they saw 2 vehicles racing, which caused one of the cars to lose control and burst into flames. According to ABC News, in an article by John, Stephanie Lorenzo, and Ali Yang, an officer said that it seems lately and almost every weekend or every couple of weeks, we have a fatality somewhere in the county that's related to street racing. He said you see on the freeway all the time, the high speeds, and they crash into somebody who's lower, or an innocent party often gets killed. Now that I have talked about how avoiding street racing would be safer for everyone, now I can speak on the consequences that follow these actions. That street racers should know that these races don't come without consequences. There are a lot of laws that are broken during these street races. When people are racing, there is no doubt that they are speeding. As previously discussed, this is very dangerous, but it is also illegal. If you are caught street racing, you could face fines or even jail time. A lot of red lights are ignored, which adds even more possible penalties which could cause you to lose your license. ABC released an article written by Amy Powell claimed that a Mini Cooper and a BMW were racing for fun and ended up crashing into a Chevy and causing 3 other minor injuries. While the previous acts may sound pretty small, if they lead to an accident that causes someone harm, the consequences can be a lot more severe. If you cause severe injuries, it could be considered a felony and can land you in jail up to 3 years. If your actions are fatal for someone else, you could be charged with vehicular manslaughter, which could lead you up to 6 years of prison time. These consequences associated with street racing are not worth it at all. Now that I have discussed what troubles you can get into, I can speak on the other ways to seek those thrills for those who do enjoy racing. There are many alternatives to street racing that can be just as exciting. If you like to watch street races, you could just as much, if not more, excitement watching professional racing like Formula One or NASCAR. There are also organized drag races that have the same feel as street racing. If you love the excitement of racing, you can go go-karting, which is still same fun, same everything, and just a lot more safe. If you could also rent out a racetrack and safely drive laps, and you will have a lot more space. While street racing may sound fun, there are far too many downsides associated with it. In conclusion, it is important to understand how dangerous this act can be. Even if it's just one time or if it's just for fun, it could very quickly turn into something tragic. Street racing does a lot of damage, and we should all be putting a stop to this by getting involved in these movements and organizations and for those that do like street racing, they could use the alternative ways that I mentioned. We should all feel safe out on the street. People doing something as small as being careful and selfless while driving can make a big difference and would overall be safer for everyone out on the streets.